Knowing what you're consuming before actually taking it is one thing. But just like in science, every discovery starts with a simple theory. In hindsight, I guess today I have to guess. Hi, I'm Ian, and today's course won't be the usual where I talk about the theories and principles of wine experience. In fact, I'm taking myself on a blind wine tasting challenge. My producer has prepared 3 boxes, and each box contains a wine which I have no idea what kind. And my goal at the end of this challenge is to guess the wine by its country, region, vintage, and its variety. Now, to help me better understand the wine, I'll be following a tasting guide or tasting grid which a lot of sommeliers use to help us better understand the characteristics of the wine. My sense of sight, sense of smell, my taste, and lastly, my conclusion. Alright, so I don't usually do blind tastings in front of the camera, but let's begin. For this challenge, I'll choose box number... Well, let's go for number 1. Alright, so we have a red wine. Wine's clear. I don't see a lot of haziness or cloudiness to it. I don't see any sediments. Wine is pretty deep in concentration. Color's leaning towards the ruby color as well. I don't see any sediments. I don't see any gas. Viscosity. I'd say this is medium viscosity. Alright, let's go to the nose. As you first smell it, you do get a lot of that alcohol. It's pretty intense on the nose. I'd say this is pronounced. Lots of aromas that you get already as you first smell it. Wine's clean, not faulty, it's not corked. Wine's more on red fruit aromas, so some raspberries, some red plums, some red sour cherries also. Slight hints of tobacco. Wine's very aromatic, not on a professional note, but this wine smells amazing. Alright, I'd say this wine is about developing by its aroma alone. Now let's go to the palate. Wine's dry. Right off the bat, you get lots of alcohol notes on the throat. It gives me lots of that warmth. I'd say acidity is medium plus. Wine is full-bodied. Lots of tannins in there also. It's pretty high on tannins. Confirming all those red fruit aromas that I got on the nose earlier. But I'd say on the palate, it's leaning towards that riper red fruit aromas. I do get lots of tobacco, some leather, some black spice. Slight notes of some smoked meat to it, but just a tad bit. I'd say this is more on that leather notes, and it's probably from the aging process. I'd say conclusion, I'd say this could be a Merlot, could also be a Sangiovese. Another thought would be a Cabernet Sauvignon. Acidity is pretty high, so I'd probably stick with a Cabernet Sauvignon and maybe some Sangiovese. I'm pretty sure this wine has got some age to it. It gives me a lot of those leather notes, some spice. It does have that tobacco and some herbaceous notes to it also. On the fruits, I'd say it's more of that riper fruit aromas and flavors that I'm getting. So I'm leaning towards a Sangiovese or a Cabernet Sauvignon, but with that alcohol level that I'm getting, I'd say this could be a Sangiovese from Italy. It could also be a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux, but it doesn't really have that finesse to it. It's really just more of the alcohol that I'm actually getting. So final conclusion, I'd say this is a Sangiovese, probably a blend from Tuscany, but I'd go with my final conclusion as Chianti, 100% Sangiovese from Italy. Age, I'd say about a 2012, probably a 2010. I'd say a 2010 vintage. This wine's really good. Alright, so that was a pretty good wine. Now let's reveal. Alright, so... Okay, perfect. It's a Cum Laude from Tuscany. So I believe this is a blend of a Cabernet, some Merlot to it, and some Sangiovese. I believe this is a Super Tuscan. It's 2011 vintage, which is actually a pretty good vintage for the Tuscany region in Italy. Now, I didn't get the vintage exactly right, but it did have some developing aromas and flavors to it, so it does have some age. Now this is from the Castello Banfi, which is a pretty renowned producer in the region of Tuscany in Italy. Alright, so I didn't guess the exact wine. I did get a 2010 vintage, or I guess a 2010 vintage. This is a 2011, so it did have the right developing aromas and flavors to it. It's not exactly from Chianti, but it's also a Tuscan region wine. Now, I believe this is a blend, so I think I got a pretty close call. Knowing your constant and go-to wines are definitely fine. But thanks to this challenge, I realized that if I only open myself to things that I'm totally not aware of while trusting my instincts and my senses, that's when possibilities become endless. Now, I didn't even realize that I'd actually discovered my new favorite wine on this channel. So how about you? Do you usually stick to your go-to wines too? Let us know in the comment section below so everybody can try it too. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button to get notified about our new wine updates and new wine courses.